book of Ruth is a lovely story for today. It's about climate extremes, it's about refugees, it's about tragedy, and above all, it's about a love story in which you and I have a part to play. It's set in the time of the Judges. Now, after Joshua entered the Promised Land about 1400 BC and conquered most of the area of Canaan, it says in Judges 2:10, a whole generation grew up who neither knew the Lord nor what he'd done for Israel. And so about 300 years of a vicious cycle continued. The people turned away from God and worshipped the idols of the land. God took his hand of blessing off them. They were defeated by their enemies. They cried out to God and he sent someone to rescue them. Cycle after cycle until we come to the last judge, who was Samuel. And he was the one who anointed King David, who led the people to their greatest heights. So in this very dark time, we have one beacon of light, and it's the book of Ruth. It's set in Bethlehem, and it's a time when there was famine. Israel was prone to famines because they had no major river for irrigation like they do in Egypt, but they relied on rain from God. And so at this time there was a severe famine, and one family decided to go to Moab to sit the famine out, and that was Elimelech and his wife Naomi and their 2 sons. Now the Moabites were distantly related to Israel through Abraham's nephew Lot and one of his daughters. If you want to know the sad little story, read Genesis 19. But the Moabites had fallen out with the Israelites and hadn't allowed them to come through their land when they were going on their way to the Promised Land. So there was a certain amount of friction there. However, when Naomi and her family got there, they welcomed them. It was a long journey and a difficult one because they would have only had maybe a donkey or gone on foot. And it's a long way. Here you see on the map, this is Bethlehem, and it's about 30 kilometres to the Jordan River, and then about another 30 kilometres down into Moab, depending upon just where they went. But they made the journey, and they got there, and they settled down. The people made them welcome, so much so that the 2 sons married 2 Moabite women. And for a while everything went well, but then tragedy struck. First of all, Elimelech died, and then 10 years later, both Naomi's sons died. We don't know what they died of. Was it a battle? Was it a plague? We don't know, but they both died, leaving Naomi alone with her 2 daughter-in-laws. By this time, the famine had finished, and so Naomi decided to go home to Bethlehem. It's a very difficult journey to go all that way for a woman on her own. But her 2 daughters-in-law set off with her. After a while she turned to them and she said, "You go home. I can't provide husbands for you. You go back to your families and find a husband there and have children and settle down." One of them did go home in tears, but the other one, Ruth, said to her mother-in-law, "I will go where you go. I will stay where you stay. Your people will be my people, and your God will be my God." What a wonderful person Naomi must have been to have inspired such love and loyalty in this young lady. And also, she obviously taught her faith. So Ruth went with her grandmother-in-law, and they came to Bethlehem. There was great excitement. The people came running and they said, "Look, it's Naomi, she's back." And Naomi said to them, "Don't call me Naomi anymore. Naomi means sweet, and I'm not sweet anymore. My name now is Mara. I am bitter. Everything I left with, my husband, my sons, are gone, and all I have left is my daughter-in-law Ruth. We have no means of sustenance. We will be relying on charity, and my life is miserable. I have gone through so much." Now you may think that you are having a hard time. Is it as hard as Naomi's life? But the last verse of this chapter says, the barley harvest is there. It's coming. There's new hope. And there's new hope for you too. We'll find out more about what's coming in the next chapter. See you.